There's a new me coming out, and I just have to live, and I wanna give. I'm completely positive. I think this time around I am gonna do it like you never knew it. Oh, I'll make it through. The time has come for me to break out of the shell. I have to shout that I am coming out. There's a new me coming out.
Welcome to the show, Never Too Late Ever, where we focus on making the next chapter of your life the very best chapter ever. I am your host, Lorraine Hoving, and I am absolutely thrilled that you are here today. This day could change your life. Open your heart, open your ears, and listen. Listen, you may find a gem. Look for a treasure that you can apply to your life today. Today, I am really excited to introduce you to Art Costello. Art, are you there?
I'm here, and I am honored to be being interviewed with you.
Art is wonderful. He is calling from Austin, Texas, and he just informed me that it is 105 degrees down there today.
Well, maybe that'll stop a few people from moving here because everybody wants to move to Austin right now.
I know, that's true. That's very true. So let me tell you a little bit about Art. Art is an author and speaker and a successful entrepreneur. Art offers wisdom as well as tangible tools, which we all know Lorraine likes tangible tools for success that will help boost your confidence, encourage your journey, and affirm you as you begin to enjoy a freer, more productive life, a life that you've always longed for. He's also he's actually done expectation therapy. He has a powerful program entitled that. And I was kind of curious about that, so we'll talk about that. It is a program that will guide you through the darker path of current inhibited. Gosh, they're working on my teeth, so I'm having a hard time pronouncing that. Belief patterns into the open air form of your best creative mind, unshackling previous limitations to release God's ultimate plan for your life. He lives in Austin, Texas, as we said, with his wife, Beverly. He has 3 grown children, 5 grandchildren. Oh, you are blessed. Art's background includes serving as a Marine in Vietnam, playing college and semi-professional baseball, and working as a talent scout in the entertainment industry. As a counselor at Mercy Mental Health in San Diego, he has worked with the world-renowned play researcher, Dr. Stuart Brown. Welcome, Art. Boy, you've got 5 grandchildren. How wonderful is that?
Oh, that is wonderful, being they're all granddaughters.
All granddaughters. Wow. That's exciting. And do they live close to you in Austin?
Now, 2 of them are in Boulder, Colorado, where my son is a therapist. And then the rest of them are all here local, within 20, 30 miles of Austin.
How wonderful. So you really are blessed. Yes. So I want to talk to you a little bit about your background. So we know now that you have the 5 grandchildren in Beverly, and you are in Austin, Texas. How long have you been in Austin, Texas?
About 38 years.
Okay, so you're a little used to that heat.
Oh yeah, I'm adapted to it. Yeah.
Okay, so where did you get the idea for expectation therapy? And tell us a little bit about it and explain exactly what it is.
Have you got 3 days?
Actually,
I'll give you the shortened version, and I'll go through it rather quickly.
Sure.
At 9 years old, I was abandoned, but not in the traditional sense of abandonment. I wasn't left on the police station doorstep or the firehouse or any of that. My parents actually moved from a very urban area to a very rural area. And up to that point, at 9, I had always played baseball. I ate, drank, slept baseball. I mean, Brooklyn Dodger fan. I mean, Duke Snyder, Carl Furillo, Roy Campanella, every one of the Dodgers were my hero. When we moved away to this rural area in upstate New York, our nearest neighbor was about 5 miles away, and they were in their 90s. And it just, when we moved there, it left me very, very abandoned and lonely. I had lost everything that was really dear to me in a number of ways because my parents, it separated my parents because my dad was not a farmer. And here we were living on a farm and nowhere close for him to work. He was a printer by trade, had worked in all the major newspapers in New York and all that kind of stuff. And when we got there, he got ill, and I think the stress got to him. And he actually went to Rochester, New York, to work at the newspaper in Rochester, which left my sister and I and my mother at the farm. Well, my mother started, I guess the best way to put it is taking care of herself. And we were kind of abandoned, my sister and I. And out of that abandonment and loneliness, I kept making this trek up this hill we had by our house. And I would go up that hill almost daily, sometimes twice a day. And I would lay on my back and have a conversation with God, asking what was going to become of me. How was I going to get through this?
Right. Because you had internalized it, because I think 9 years old is a very impressionable age, and suddenly you were in a different environment. So interesting that you reached out to God at that time.
Yeah, and it really is. And I believe that it's faith. I just had faith in me. But anyway, I laid on the top of that hill many a day. And over the next 7 years, I figured out how I was going to escape the loneliness, because school was not good for me. We were considered outsiders, and we were kind of shunned in the community. Back in the 50s, a single mom on a farm with 2 kids wasn't very common. So I decided to go in the Marine Corps. And what amazed me is that how I knew that I needed structure. Because up to this point, from 9 years old, prior to 9 years old, it was baseball structured me. 9 years old to 17 in high school, I totally had no expectations put on me. I had no expectations of myself. I had no discipline and structure. And somehow I knew going in the Marine Corps was going to give me the structure and discipline that I needed. And I did that. And I ended up the next year going to Vietnam as a machine gunner in Vietnam, and surviving that, getting out of the Marine Corps. And there's a story about me in the Marine Corps and being in Vietnam with a little Vietnamese girl that I tried to adopt, but we'll stick with the shorter version of this today. But anyway, I went to Vietnam, and after I got out of the Marine Corps 4 years later, I decided I was going to go to college. And I wanted to become a psychologist. So I started my path on that. Got through all that, always very entrepreneurial. I've always been self-sustaining and entrepreneurial. I've always sold things and, just found ways to make money. So while I was
it sounds like you had a kind of a drive in you. And what a wise thing to do when you had no disciplines within your life, to know that, have enough wisdom to know, well, if I get to the Marine Corps, because that will definitely teach you on disciplines. So I like what I'm hearing, because then you had this drive within you, which caused you to be an entrepreneur.
I think it came from when I was making those trips up and down that hill. I heard something inside of me that always said, all your job is to be faithful and just keep doing.
Love it.
It really became a
mantra.
yeah, the mantra, the direction of my life, because I've always been very active in doing things. So in college, I started managing my roommate's rock and roll band. And back in the mid 60s and or late 60s, and things were going real good. And I started managing 5 bands and had met a Jose Feliciano's manager at a concert we did. And he asked what I was going to do after college. And I said, I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I'd like to be a psychologist and all that. And he said, well, if you want to work in the entertainment industry, I'll give you a job in the entertainment industry. So I graduated and things just, weren't going where I wanted. I was getting tired. And I had worked also in a mental health facility all through college. So I had my dose of being in closed units and crazies. So I said, well, I'm going to give him a call and see what happens. So I went up to LA and interviewed, and they hired me that day, said, go pack your stuff, come back, and we'll get you on the road. And I had a great job for 4 years of just going all over the country, all over the world. Had my apartment paid for, had my salary that went directly into the bank. My food was paid for. Everything was, everything was taken care of. And then one day I was in San Diego and I met a little blonde. And I said, I'm going to marry that girl.
A little blonde. So she's short like me.
Yeah, she's tiny. So anyway, I went to introduce myself, and she held up her fingers to me and showed me this big diamond on her fingers and said, stay away from me. I'll never marry you. I'll never talk to you, because I had said to her, I'm going to marry you. That's how I introduced myself.
Oh my gosh. No.
So, and all my friends were laughing. They said, she's too cute. She'll never talk to you, blah, 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 all that stuff. So anyway, to make this story go smoother and shorter, for 2 years, I pursued her. For 2 years. One day, I hear a knock.
You didn't give up. You didn't give up.
I don't give up. There's no give up in me. Anyway, one day I hear a knock on my door, and my roommate says to me, I was in the shower. And if you remember in the 60s, I had this huge afro, this big afro.
I had one of those too. And they could be huge.
And I put a shower cap on when I was in the shower. So he knocks on the bathroom door and says, Art, there's a really cute blonde at the door. And I said, who could that, and I'm thinking in my head, and I wrap a towel around myself, and I've got the shower cap on the door, and I open up the front door.
Oh my gosh.
And it's her.
I love it.
And she's crying. She's got tears running down her face. And I said, what's wrong? And she said, can we talk? And I said, well, let me get dressed. So anyway, after we went down to the beach, and we sat on the beach and talked. And what had happened is her boyfriend, she caught him cheating on her. And to give you the story, from that day forward, for 38 years, she never left my side, and I never left hers.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
Till the day in 2006 when I had to bury her.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Had a great life together. Everything, we worked together, and our businesses were successful. Everything we did was guided towards raising our kids. And then September 23rd, 2003, she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer.
So sorry, Art.
And I was too. And she fought like a champion, but lost the battle September 16th, 2006. So what happened to me is she had left me with some great gifts. She had released me from my marriage vows so I could go find somebody else to love as much as I had loved her. Which I didn't realize at the time was such a gift, because it released me from my marriage vows to find somebody else, and I found Beverly. And both Beverly and I believe that Vicky's hand was all over our relationship. Right. So anyway, what happened after she passed away is I didn't honor her. I fell apart, and I started drinking and acting like a jerk. 3 years, 2.5 years later, my kids came to me and said, Dad, you promised Mom you weren't going to do this.